Hi, this is Mark Silver from Heart of Business, and we're on day 4 of the video challenge. 2 weeks where I get to do a video every day just so I get used to doing this thing. And today I'm going to be experimenting a little bit with I wanted to light the whiteboard so that there weren't a lot of shadows and so that you could see the whiteboard, and I figured out how to do that. So what I want to illustrate today actually has to do with another Sufi teaching, continuing on the theme from yesterday, around transmission. Transmission is one of those topics that seems a little really woo-woo and esoteric, but the truth is that we're always transmitting. And by transmitting, I mean that you have an experience in your being and you're giving it to someone else. You're directly transmitting it to the other person. Now, how does this actually work? Are you actually transmitting something? Are you actually giving something to someone that they don't have? The language seems to imply this, but that's not actually spiritually what's happening. So let's say that you're working with a client or working with an audience. Let's say you're speaking to an audience. And so you're here, right? You know, maybe you're even up on a stage, and you've got the audience down here, or you have, or maybe you're working with a client, and they're sitting in a chair across from you. However you're doing it, or you're on the phone. Could be easily on the phone. That could be another situation that you find yourself in, where they're on the phone talking to you. That's my attempt at a phone. And so you're wanting to transmit something. You're wanting to give them a taste. And this is not an unusual situation where maybe you've had an insight or an experience and they're wanting that and they're not accessing it in the moment. So this is how we used to teach it at the Sufi University, where I used to be faculty in the teacher internship program, talking about transmission. So what is actually happening when two human beings face each other is that their hearts come into very close contact. They come into communion with each other. So you have either all the hearts in the audience or the heart of your client and your heart. And they're in communication with each other. This is already happening. You know, this person could be in the UK and you could be in the US, and it's still happening. You know, there's a huge big audience, people in the back row. It's still happening because that spiritual transmission travels that space and time without an issue. So you have some kind of a rich experience, you know, some kind of a jewel of an experience here, and you're trying to give that to the folks. Now, the way that a lot of people try to do it is they try to say, okay, I've got this super cool thing, you don't have it, let me give it to you. So what happens if I start to, see you in that way? Like, you don't have this thing and I'm trying to give it to you? It feels gross. You know, the person starts to feel smaller, they start to feel oppressed. It's really this power over. It's actually kind of a dangerous situation spiritually because you can affect people in very real ways. The actual way that it's done is it has to do with what I was talking about yesterday about cleaning your heart and having your heart be the cleanest, purest mirror possible for reflecting the divine truth. And then instead of trying to be directly in touch with the heart, you have an intention of divine source. And divine source, probably going outside the frame of where the camera is catching it. So let me erase some of these clients and just deal with the audience. And so you have this communion. Hopefully your heart has this active connection with divine source. And I'm using the Arabic word Allah just to represent source. There's many different ways that we could represent that. This is from my tradition. And so you've cleaned your heart as much as you can through whatever practices you use. And then you ask. You ask. You're not trying to get anything directly from here or give anything directly from here. You ask the divine, oh Allah, oh presence, oh source, help me to see you in my client. Reveal to me your perfection in my client. And when I start to do that, if I start to do that with the camera here, if I'm asking to be shown the perfection of anyone who might see this video, and I begin to sense that, and my heart starts to fill with that experience, then what happens is that I naturally want to go into a bow. I naturally start to, the bow it can be physical, but it's an internal really kind of just feeling humble in front of the divine presence that my client has in their heart. And as the divine shows me, projects on my heart the perfection from their hearts, then my heart starts to radiate that perfection. It's not my perfection, it's a mirror. My heart is functioning as a mirror. And that image is shown to the clients and the audience. And as they receive that, they begin to fill with that. They begin to consciously or unconsciously begin to notice there's something really special going on here. It's really special. And they don't necessarily realize, unless you have a conversation about it, that they're being shown their own perfection, their own beauty. And all your heart is doing is functioning as a mirror. And so the transmission is really a mirroring. So the steps that we've talked about today in terms of transmission have to do with polishing your heart, cleaning your heart so that it can function as a mirror as brightly as possible, as clearly as possible, which I talked about in day 3, the video challenge. And making the intention, asking the divine, asking Source to reveal to you the perfection, the presence, the beauty in the client, and letting yourself really witness that. And as you witness that, consciously asking the intention to let that out, to show it, and let that image be witnessed by the client. And this all happens internally. And so I want to encourage you to go ahead and try to do this. Next time you're sitting in front of a friend or a loved one or in front of a client, and just do this. You know, maybe you take some quiet moments together. I don't know how you work with clients, but maybe you take a few quiet moments together before you start. Even maybe before they call or before you meet them, and just ask. See if your heart can hold that and transmit to them the beauty and the perfection of who they are. So this has been Mark Silver with Heart of Business. I hope that this has been helpful for you, and I wish the very best to you and your business.